The 49ers dominate the Arizona Cardinals in what turned out to be the least consequential game of the season as the New York Giants and helped the Niners out whatsoever. We'll talk about it. New Sprint Right Option podcast starts right now.
Welcome, everybody.
We are live.
My name is Jason Aponte.
I am Andrew Pasquini.
We're working. That's it. We're working over here. That's it. Let's go Niners.
Let's go Niners.
Sprint Right Option podcast. We are live. It's a new episode of the Sprint Right Option podcast. I am Andrew Pasquini, joined as always by the beautiful Jason Aponte. And Jason, let's just get it out of the way. Nobody was afraid of the same old sorry ass Packers. Nobody at all.
I looked up fraud in the dictionary and there was a picture of Aaron Rodgers on there. I want to talk about something real quick and let's just start and let's just get it out of the way. Aaron Rodgers is not like that. Aaron Rodgers is not someone you need to worry about anymore. Aaron Rodgers is not that guy, pal. Tried to tell you, man. We're worried about something that happened years ago. He's not that guy. He missed throws. He threw interceptions. He looked awful. If a 49ers quarterback performed in the fashion that Aaron Rodgers did last night in a win and get in scenario, you would run that man out of town and try to put him in the Wicker Man and set him on fire. That is a deep cut reference, and that is for the the horror buffs. But Aaron Rodgers is not like that. The Packers are not like that. They're soft. They stink. I was never worried. Carry on.
Maybe Niner fans will find out next year what it's like to have Aaron Rodgers lose a winner get-in game. Unretire.
Tom Brady exists, pal.
Well, so who are we unretiring Trent Dilfer's 12 for? Is it Rodgers or Brady?
Brady.
Just unretire it for Purdy and give him
Look, next year's quarterback situation, unofficially, Brady, Lance, Garoppolo, Purdy. You figure it out at this point. And would you be
Winston,
shocked?
QB5.
Winston, Taysom Hill. Let's bring everybody in. Everybody's
sign
gonna be
all
in there.
the quarterbacks. Sign all the quarterbacks in the NFL. Have a depth chart. Figure it out there. I think that'll solve your quarterback problem. I at least hope so. So Jason, this might be the shortest game breakdown we do in Sprint Right Option podcast history. Because the second Josh Johnson came in, I did not care. Testify. That's a great Devon Dudley reference.
And I get that reference too. Dudley boys. And Devon, get the table.
Get the table. Hey, I made a more cowbell reference for Jason earlier today too. He loved that. That was electric for you. I literally just watched that skit on Saturday.
So good, man. You know what Rich Madrid's breakdown needs? They need more buzzwords and they need more cowbell.
Exactly. we're already starting off hot. That's how.
Oh yeah, this episode is off the rails.
Listen, we're going to talk about this game yesterday for maybe 10 minutes. And then we're going to talk about the implications of the playoffs because as I said, the second Josh Johnson came in, I stopped paying attention to this game. And I was like, oh, I wonder how Josh Johnson did throwing the ball yesterday. So I went to look at the box score. He didn't throw the ball. So I can't even tell you how Josh Johnson did based off of stats. But all this game really proved to me, Jason Aponte, was the 49ers were better than the Arizona Cardinals. And I don't think we needed this game to establish that.
No, look, and Cliff Kingsbury was fired today.
Yeah.
I think this is just going to be a tangent episode. Can I go on another tangent real quick?
Absolutely.
Okay. Paul says, I got a fever, and the only prescription is more cowbell. Okay?
More cowbell.
More cowbell. If you listen to Don't Fear the Reaper, by the way, all you hear is cowbell. And it's so funny how, that was so true by Blue Oyster Cult. Please go back and listen to that song, and you will hear nothing but cowbell, by the way.
Yes.
Two tangents. First of all, salute to you, JJ Watt. It's been a pleasure. You were absolutely balling yesterday as well, too. Couldn't have asked for a better spokesperson, a better person, a better football player to root for than JJ Watt. It's a shame that you had to toil away with the Houston Texans and the Arizona Cardinals. Okay. Yeah. Cliff Kingsbury, you're fired. You're fired. Now, I remember, and I saw it. Cliff Kingsbury's 8-1. Why can't Kyle Shanahan be like that? I wish Kyle Shanahan. Shame on fucking you. Shame on you. Shame on you for even thinking that.
Yeah.
When I
There was
told
a lot
you
of
Cliff
that last season.
Yeah, when I told you Cliff Kingsbury was a fraud 2 years ago, he's been a fraud.
Yeah.
Shame on fucking you for even hinting at the idea of that. The idea of wanting Cliff Kingsbury over Kyle Shanahan.
Yep.
The Kyle Shanahan narratives are dead.
Yep.
10 in a row. There's only 2 other coaches in 49ers history with 13-plus win seasons that are multiple. That's a guy named Bill Walsh and a guy named George Seifert. Pretty good company.
Yeah.
Pretty good company, right? Knock it off. And I want 49er fans to also stop tweeting after the first drive because after Diamador Lenore, all of a sudden it gets a ball caught on him. Season's over, man. You're exposed. Game over, man. Game over. And then you look insane when the Cardinals don't score again for like the entire game, man. It's just look, the game's emotional. We tweet during the game. I get it. But someone brought it up, and I forget who it was, and I want to credit that person. I wish I knew who it was. 49er fans should only be allowed to tweet after the third quarter at that point because that's when really the game is out of hand at that point. Either way, regardless of all those things, Cliff Kingsbury, you're gone. And shame on any of you. And I know who you are. You know who you are is worse than if I know. You know who you are. You have to live with yourself. You have to look at yourself in the mirror. You have to find a way to put yourself to sleep at night, knowing that at one time you actually even believed that Cliff Kingsbury was the superior option to Kyle Shanahan. Andrew, the floor is yours, my friend.
I want to go to your Diamador Lenore play point about everybody overreacting.
Yep. Game over, man. Game over.
I went to the Dolphins-Niner game with my Dolphins friend, right? And he's very excited, right? He's very excited right now.
First play of the game.
First play of the game, right? But before the game, I turned to him and I said, hey, listen, man, I know you looking into this. You've heard how dominating the Niners defense has been, but they have this tendency of letting teams just kind of do whatever they want on the first drive and adjusting from there. So, like, don't get your hopes up after the first drive because the Dolphins might look really good, and then that's going to change because D'Amico Ryans is going to do what he does. And what happened? Trent Sherfield goes for 75 yards on the opening play of the game. And how many points did the Dolphins finish with in that game? 17?
17?
Something like that? 17?
Yeah.
I just don't understand. I guess it was because it was against Diamador Lenore, who's gotten a lot of flack the past few weeks for certain coverage things and all that stuff. But yeah, I don't think you could really at this point, watching the Niners defense in the 2022 season for 17 games at this point, overreact at this point to an opening drive. Because you know what the Niners did yesterday that they've done for probably half of their games this season? They didn't allow a second half point. And I know obviously the Cardinals are in a situation where they probably weren't exactly trying to win that game. Sure, whatever. But it continues. The trend continues of, yeah, man, it might suck after the first drive, but this defense really has a way to figure out how to adjust it. And I know it's easier to do against David Blau and Trace McSorley, but this is what I needed yesterday because we saw this Niners defense look pretty vulnerable against Taylor Heineke and a Commanders offense, and it looked pretty vulnerable against a Raiders offense that had Jared Stidham as their quarterback. So to see this performance out of the defense, I think the confidence is all the way back going into the postseason. Those fears that we had in the past couple of weeks, I think those are gone. And yeah, Jason, it's definitely time for people to really understand that it's like make a whose line is it anyways reference. You know, the points don't matter or whatever the hell they say. There are rules of points don't matter. The first drive doesn't matter against the 49ers defense. Yeah, they might spot them 7 points, but more often than not, that's not indicative of what the whole game is going to be. And I think yesterday really proved that point.
And again, the coverage busts and the things that we have been concerned about in terms of the secondary are valid, but I am going to give up a coverage bust if I can get 3 interceptions and a fumble recovery, right? Yep. So again, it's about trade-off. And there was something that I tweeted earlier today that I found interesting. The 49ers last year were 6th in passing yards allowed per game, 6th in the NFL, but they were 28th in interception rate. This year, they are 21st in passing yards allowed, which is only a 16-yard increase, by the way, from last year, which doesn't sound like a lot, but I think it's indicative of how the offenses have been completely dialed back and people haven't been scoring. It's been an all-time low season. But the 49ers are third in interception rate. So it's a trade-off. This is the discussion point. What are you willing to live with? Can you live with the coverage bust here and there as long as you're making game-changing interceptions and turning the ball over? Or is it okay to be safe and never allow the big play, right? And this is what we're going to have to deal with going. This is the secondary.
It sounds like a conversation we had regarding two safeties, that one was a former 49er and one was a current 49er. It sounds like it was the big thing this offseason of, well, this secondary doesn't force enough turnovers. Well, this is the trade-off, right?
Yes.
And people too talked about, ability to force turnovers. And obviously at this point, who we're talking, Tart versus Hufanga. But a point Jason and I really made was, interceptions aren't always really good coverage. I mean, you see Tashawn Gibson's 2 interceptions yesterday. He just happened to be in the right place. Yeah, so like things like I understand people wanting turnovers to happen, but more often than not, interceptions. God, George is running through TCU right now. Sorry. Interceptions are more bad plays by the quarterback than it is a good secondary play, and that's the trade-off that Jason is absolutely mentioning, right? Is the yardage is a little more, but it feels a little different because they are forcing those turnovers they weren't forcing last season. Yeah,
and again, last year we have the perfect example, right? Trevon Diggs literally turns the ball over. He's a feast or famine type guy. He gave up a ton of yards. He's kind of curbed that back, but now he doesn't have the interception. So it's a give and take. And you can live with one if you have the other. You can't live with the coverage bust without the interception. So, I mean, at this point, right now, what's going on is this is it. This is it. There's no secret fix. It's not going to be Ambry Thomas ain't walking through that door because he's injured. And you know what? Lenore's better. It's Hufanga, it's Gibson, and it's Lenore. You're not going to throw Mooney Ward. I think we know who he is. He's that guy, pal. But I mean, you just have to kind of deal with this at this point. And Great Fox, thank you for the donation, man. It's generous of you. I have a feeling that McCaffrey is going Super Saiyan in the playoffs. You can see it in his eyes. He knows this is the year. Yeah, I would say that being stuck in Carolina and being here all of a sudden would invoke those sort of feelings because he's never had a chance to be in the playoffs or have a deep playoff run. But I agree. I think that the 49ers, as far as they go, is going to be on the back of this running game. Yeah. And it's good to see Elijah Mitchell back. Elijah Mitchell, 2 touchdowns. Nice to see you, pal. Yeah. It's almost like you were never gone, right? Like at this point. So it's going to be on the back of the running game. I think when you get further and further into the playoffs, you don't want to put more and more on Brock Purdy's plate. And the best way to do that is to be able to run the ball with Christian McCaffrey and Elijah Mitchell.
Yeah, and I mean, like yesterday's game is probably what you're going to see in the playoffs, a little closer to 37 and I know obviously this is different because it's a 38-13 win, but 37 rushes to 20 passes, maybe a little less severe, maybe like 32-25 in the playoffs. Like I think the Niners are going to try and run the ball, especially if the matchups work well. Brock Purdy looked well yesterday, 5 consecutive games with at least 2 touchdowns. Jason, you mentioned the Elijah Mitchell 2 touchdowns. George Kittle, 2 more touchdowns, number 10 and 11 on the season. I had to look it up. I looked it up. It was the first 10-plus touchdown receiving season by a 49ers pass catcher since Vernon Davis in 2013.
Look at that, 85-85. That's how you snap that. That's how you snap that all the way around. Good to see George Kittle, man. It seems like Brock Purdy's looking for him. We always wanted to see George Kittle be more of a red zone weapon, and now you're starting to see it. It's just, I mean, the confidence that 49ers fans have is more about the playmakers. Yeah. Who are you going to cover? You want to cover Kittle? Cool. We'll throw it to Ayuk. Oh, wait, you got Ayuk covered? Cool. There's this Debo guy that is just returned. Oh, wait, you got all of them covered? Well, there's this Christian McCaffrey guy that we can just dump the ball off to. It's putting defenses in hell. And at this point, the 49ers have scored 30-something points, not because of the defenses they faced, but more the problems they present. And right now, Brock Purdy is executing the offense to a level that we probably haven't seen during the Kyle Shanahan regime with anybody. Even Jimmy Garoppolo's 5-game winning streak, whatever it was in 2017. I mean, he threw, what was it, 8 touchdowns and 6 picks or something, or 6 and 4. It's not a pretty sight.
7 and 5, to be honest.
7 and 5, something like that. Yeah, it's not pretty. So yeah, I mean, this is why everybody's so excited. These are the matchups that defenses have to deal with, and defensive coordinators, God help you, because you can't stop all of them. It's truly, Andrew, pick your poison.
Yeah. And it's funny, too, how the conversation about where George Kittle in this offense has disappeared since Brock Purdy's come in. It's weird how Brandon Ayuk seems to be getting better every week. It's weird how those intermediate route guys seem to be getting more looks with the change of quarterback. Take that as you may. I don't know. Maybe it's a shot. Maybe it's not. But I think it's nice to have a quarterback who seems to be comfortable looking at each layer, something the Niners haven't seen in quite a while. So I just think it's overall positive going into the playoffs. I think, as I said, like this could have easily yesterday been like the Raider game, where it was, the defense came out flat again and it was a competitive game, but the Niners made sure that didn't happen and really blew out a team they were supposed to blow out. That's honestly the final thought I had about the 49ers and the Cardinals game yesterday. So, Jason, do we want to go 3 stars and we can kind of dissect the playoff race?
Yeah, I mean, man, I can't remember more of a boring 49ers game than this one. It's almost like I watched it like half asleep. I was actually watching the Giants game way more.
No, yeah, the second they got to halftime, my attention went to the Giants and Eagles. Like fully honest, like hand up, this was not a game I cared about. Like I said it on Friday and I'm saying it now.
Wait, left hand up?
Luhu, left hand up. Shout out the Commanders. We love them. My
all team songs suck, by the way, and that Cowboys song sucks the worst.
All of them are bad. And
they're all bad. They're all bad.
Listen, when E40 dropped a bad one, we should have known. But people keep trying to do it.
No, I mean, my YouTube comments are going to be flooded with people that are like, how could you say that about Bang Bang Niner Gang? It's like, okay, man. It was cool for a few minutes, but like, come on, man. Let's do this.
So Jason, I'm going to do something I've never done before. Special circumstances. My 3rd star is going to be not a 49ers player. It's going to be J.J. Watt.
Wow.
Just 2 sacks in his last career game. The thing of him playing in 31 of the active stadiums and Levi Stadium being the last one. I don't even know what that is. Kyle, you should send that.
Drop that. It's that.
I know what it is. I know what it is.
Drop that, Kyle. Drop it on the timeline. Someone was asking me about that because I posted the Hawk Talk meltdown after they lost to the Rams, and that guy was yelling about the Niners aren't going to do anything. Your franchise is fucked, man.
I will never forget. We were in a Zoom meeting with Javi when the Rams beat the Seahawks in that playoff game in 2020.
Oh yeah, we were all on it, and we all literally said, "Here's how we tweet this." Jimmy Garoppolo's never lost in the first round.
Never.
And he hasn't, and everyone just went and ran with it.
We love it. We love it. Rams, McVay. Wait, did something happen with Rams and McVay? Or
it sounds like McVay's gonna leave. But
I wasn't sure.
I kind of alluded to that all last year. So I'm gonna take a victory lap. I definitely was saying that. That's why everybody was like, "Why are you sending all these first round picks?" McVay wanted his Super Bowl. He got it, and guess what he can do is walk away, and he will. So you know what? You got your Super Bowl. McVay is gonna be a hotly sought after either TV personality or coach, and it kind of felt like that's the only way this could have went. But 3 stars, JJ Watt is your 3rd star, right?
Yeah, JJ Watt's my 3rd star. Just the last game in Santa Clara, cool to see. 2 sacks, I'll give it to him.
Yeah, shout out to JJ Watt, man. He's my 3rd star as well too. Look, we talk about guys that it's easy to root for, guys that do things the right way. I mean, this man was on a 3-win team, and he was berating his teammates in Houston for saying that they didn't want to come to work. And he's like, dude, we get paid handsomely. These people invest money and time to watch us. Like, J.J. Watt is the walking example of what every football player should be. And it's going to be sad because it's not going to be a player. And it's not like we're just like, oh, he's just a good person. The man was fucking downright dominant his entire career. Like, and it's just like he's a baller on top of being a really good guy. So likable. I just wish he never would have went to Arizona. He could have went somewhere else and chased the ring and actually not wasted his career. But shout out to J.J. Watt. See you in Canton, buddy. That gold jacket awaits you.
My number 2 star, and this is how I cheat. I'm going to share it between 2 49ers. 9 combined. It's the last game of the season, and nobody cares.
Yeah, you're mailing it in. You're not keeping sharp for the postseason. Look at you, Pasquini.
100%.
Coach does not approve.
Sat my starters in week 18.
Kyle Shanahan does not approve. Kyle, if you're watching this, I'm sharp. I'm still going for it.
George Kittle and Elijah Mitchell, 9 combined touches, 4 touchdowns between the two. So very, very minimal in what their touches are. Mitchell with his first 2 touchdowns of the season. As I said, Kittle with 10 and 11, most on the 49ers. So I'm just going to give it to them because they scored 4 of the 5 touchdowns yesterday in a 25-point blowout that I definitely watched every snap of. Kyle Shanahan, I know you're watching.
Yep. Yeah, you better, because coach is going to rip you one in the next meeting. My second star is Tashaun Gibson, man. 2 interceptions. You have 5 on the season. That's almost like more than the previous 2 starting safeties had like their entire career. It's nice to see the turnovers happening. Even George Odom got in on the act, but Tashaun Gibson, you've been quite defined. It's funny, this defense is literally people aside from Mooney Ward that have been here or have been promoted from within. The only real changes were Mooney Ward and Hufanga taking over for Tart. Tashaun Gibson was the only guy that they really brought in from the outside. And it felt like in the beginning that he was just going to be a replacement for Jimmy Ward, and he ends up keeping the free safety position. Jimmy Ward has to move over to slot corner. Tashaun Gibson's been quite defined. Another find for the front office, another scheme fit. He's been very good for this team. Tashaun Gibson, my second star.
My first star is Tashaun Gibson, 2 interceptions. Nice. I don't want to point it out, but that gives him 5 on the season, which gives him the team lead in interceptions. So he actually finishes the 2022 season as the Niners leader in interceptions. And you mentioned him coming in and being the new guy. His job was on borrowed time at the start of the season. Yep. He was just there to hold it over until Jimmy Ward came back. And the Niners ended up getting a guy who forces the most interceptions on the team. It's the most interceptions he's had in 10 seasons. For him to have a game like he did yesterday, 3 interceptions in the final 2 games of the season, I'm going to give it to Tashaun Gibson because as I said, he's a guy whose name we don't talk about a ton, but you probably should talk about him a little more because of what he's done and the role he was expected to be in entering this season as well. Tashaun Gibson's my number 1 star for the final game of the regular season, Jason.
My number 1 star. This is my number 1 star for the entire year. This is how we're going to do it. Kyle Shanahan, I don't know what more needs to be said, buddy. 12 teams have started 3 quarterbacks this season. 12. 2 made the playoffs. 1 snuck in. The genius, Mike McDaniel. But last year, 3-5, you turned this team around, took it to an NFC Championship game. This year, 3-4, you start your 3rd quarterback, you win 10 straight games. 10 straight games in the NFL is no small feat.
No. 10
straight games starting your 3rd quarterback who happens to be the last pick in the draft makes it all the more remarkable.
Yep.
Kyle Shanahan, you're not going anywhere. I'm so happy. All of you Kyle Shanahan haters, suck it. It's so good. You got crushed this entire year. It's over for you guys. RIP to any of you guys that ever had anything bad to say. I need him to manage. I need him to manage this and do this. You know what? 13 wins, 13-4, and 1 Denver Broncos safety away from the number 1 seed. Sorry. Although. If he did step out, but it would have turned into a pick 6. So maybe that was probably the best case scenario. Yeah. So
maybe not.
At the same time, Kyle Shanahan is not going anywhere. What this franchise has built, this culture, aside from 2020, is largely successful. 2019, 2020, you throw it away. COVID was a crazy year. Last year, NFC Championship. This year, another deep playoff run. Hopefully, you got to accept it at this point. There's nothing you can do. And he's the front runner for Coach of the Year for good reason. John Lynch needs to be spoken more about Executive of the Year for everything that he's done. So the culture that they built, this team, this chemistry, him being able to lead men, all these things that you guys decided to make up about him and everything, right? All he has to do is do the one last thing that everybody wants, which everybody seems to think is so easy, even though the best coaches only have 1 Super Bowl win in their entire time. John Harbaugh has never gotten back. Mike Tomlin, who everybody loves, and he hasn't had a losing season, only has 1. Mike McCarthy has 1. So is he a better coach than Kyle Shanahan? No. So I think right now what you're seeing a guy who is blossomed completely. I think he's learned from his own mistakes. But settle in, pals. Settle in, guys and gals. Kyle Shanahan's not going anywhere. Not for a while.
I love it. Yeah, Kyle Shanahan, we love him. I think people seem to forget that only one of 32 teams can win a Super Bowl every year. So, like, Super Bowl winning head coaches aren't growing on trees at this point.
But he blows all the games. I want Jim Harbaugh back.
Yeah, it's very he doesn't blow games at all. Never, not once. But yeah, no, you make all the great points. I think I probably should add Kyle somewhere on my top three because
Kyle's cooking. Kyle's gonna cook you in the next meeting. When Kyle calls us, he's gonna go nuts on you.
Perfect. So Jason, now's a good time to transition to the playoff picture. This isn't the Seattle prediction. That'll be for Friday. This is more so just looking at the picture of the NFC playoffs. Before we do that, Sprint Red Option Podcast. If you're new here, subscribe to Jason Punty's YouTube channel. You can also subscribe to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, wherever you get your podcasts at. Just go search the Sprint Red Option Podcast. You'll be able to find us. Hey, Jason, Brandon Belt just signed with the Toronto Blue Jays. Just wanted to throw that out there. You should be afraid that.
Cool.
Cool. There you go. So the way the NFC falls, with the Eagles beating the Giants, the Seahawks beating the Rams, and the Lions beating the Packers. The Eagles have the 1 seed. The Niners have the 2 seed. The Vikings at the 3. The Buccaneers at the 4. Jason is really 6'5", yes. The Cowboys are the 5. The Giants are the 6, and the Seahawks are the 7th. The Niners have the Saturday afternoon game, which I thought was very interesting because that's usually I thought Chargers,
the Jaguars and Chargers would have got that.
Yeah, that's always the AFC South. Like nobody, the Texans and Bengals, I'm pretty sure played in that game like 8 years in a row.
8 years in a row, right? With Andy Dalton.
Like it just felt like every year was Andy Dalton getting cooked by JJ Watt. Like that's just what it was. But apparently, I was getting a little giddy that maybe the Niners would luck their way into the Nickelodeon game again, but I guess that's not happening.
I can't believe you watch playoff games and analyze that on Nickelodeon.
Got to do it. Somebody's got to do it. But so the Niners, they are lined up with the Seattle Seahawks. Jason, just kind of your thoughts on the NFC playoff picture. Not necessarily Niners Seahawks because that's the Friday episode. We'll talk everything Niners Seahawks. But what are your thoughts on just kind of how it lined up and what you think about the Niners' chances in this division or in this?
Well, first, my thoughts on this bum ass comment is.
The Vikings are gonna.
The Vikings are so fraudulent. They got fried by that LSD pill popping quarterback who can't even get in his own stadium, and he got fried. And now all of a sudden, you are gonna defy the best defense in football. The Vikings are lucky that they run into the Giants, and you know what? The Giants are gonna give you a better game than you think. Giants, I can't wait.
It took the Vikings a 61-yard field goal to beat the Giants a month ago.
Oh, yeah, I know. Oh, yeah. So, yeah, Vikings. Get the fuck out of here. Anyway, so, look, when it comes to this and everything that's kind of happened, right? Look, I think let's talk logically about the Packers. I know, like, we're having fun with them and everything, and they suck. And, you know, that one guy, Walker, was crying out of the tunnel. I thought that was hilarious. My thing is this.
I think people, a training staff member, then cried that he got ejected,
and then cried into the. It's like, dude, I'm
all for crying for sports, but like you should have known that was going to happen. But hey,
so look, my thing is this. I think what 49er fans were at least concerned about. I don't think anybody was necessarily scared of the Packers. It's just if you had your pick and choice of who your opponent could be, Aaron Rodgers, Geno Smith, and Jared Goff, I think. The least that you would want to face is Aaron Rodgers because if he does put it together, then that's something that is a problem. I understand that, Andrew. I'm just having some fun with you with this. I always knew the Packers were fraudulent though. Like they definitely are. Like again, them beating the Rams and the Bears and the fraudulent Vikings, nobody cares, bro. That doesn't show me anything. They are not good. And they're a team that's worse than they were last year. So get worked. But for me, when it comes down to this, I think the fear that 49er fans have right now is can you do it 3 times in a row? Mm-hmm. And I think that's kind of where I guess some of the concern can come in because this is the NFL. Adjustments get made. You can figure out some things that you want to see. And yes, the 49ers have shown themselves to be a bit vulnerable in the secondary. But, you know, again, the reason that I say that the 49ers not making the NFC Championship game would be a huge disappointment is because I look around the NFC and I don't care. I don't care about the Vikings. I don't care about the Bucks. I don't care about the Cowboys. I don't care about the Giants. I do not care about the damn Seattle Seahawks. No. The only team that is in the 49ers' way is Philadelphia.
Yep.
It's Philadelphia. And that's the game before the Super Bowl. So, again, that is why. No? What? Yeah, it is.
No, I have a theory, but you can
go for it. Well, my thing is, it was always going to be, that's why it needs to be the NFC Championship is the disappointment, because when you look around the NFC, the 49ers, there's tiers in the NFC, right? There's the Eagles, there's the Niners, and then under that is just a jumble of everybody else, of anybody else. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, if you want 1 week, you want to say the Cowboys are ahead of this team, who cares? They're all like a bunch of like whatever, like at this point, whatever. Have you seen Micah Parsons? I haven't seen him. Dak's throwing pick sixes.
Dak Prescott against the Niners defense right now? Are you kidding me? 15 interceptions in 12 games, and I'm supposed to be afraid of that?
Dak Prescott leads the league in interceptions, and he missed 4 games.
He missed 5 games.
Don't care about them. The Vikings, fraudulent. Don't care. You can't play the Bears every single week with Nathan Peterman and whoever the hell was starting for them. Giants, this is the we're happy to be here award. Yes. And Seattle gets in, and the Rams almost beat them. The Rams, if the Rams were just even a little bit better, Seattle's eliminated, and the Lions are here, and we're excited for Don Burke.
We love Don Burke. Shout out.
Yeah. So look, the reason that I say that the NFC Championship has to be at least where you go is because you look around the NFC, nobody cares. I don't care, and it's going to be Philly. So. There's my succinct, long-winded answer about why the NFC is trash outside of Philly.
Okay, so bear with me here. I tried to draw up the least stressful path in the playoffs, okay? So bear with me here. Niners beat the Seahawks, obviously, right? The Giants upset the Vikings. I think that's doable. The Buccaneers dog walk the Cowboys. I don't care. Tom Brady's never lost to the Cowboys in his life. He's not going to start doing that on Monday night. So now your NFC divisional rounds are the Niners, Buccaneers, and the Giants, Eagles. We already saw the story between the Niners and the Buccaneers not a month ago. Niners are going to win that game. Now, if the Giants can get revenge season on week 18 and beat the Eagles with the starters, NFC Championship game in Santa Clara against the Giants. Name me an easier route to the Super Bowl than that.
If the Giants make it to the NFC Championship game, I start to get severely concerned.
Are you just stressed off of that?
I mean, not only because I live where I live, but just what are you doing here? You don't belong here. Why are you here? Is this some like destiny shit? I've seen that Giants thing unfold too many times in a way where it doesn't go well for the 49ers or any other team that faces them. I know that Eli Manning's not there, but God, if the New York Giants end up in the NFC Championship game, I'm scared shitless. What do you mean, man?
Oh no. So maybe not the.
No. I get what you mean, though. No, I'm just saying.
Just to complete it, the Jaguars come out of the AFC. Niners, Jaguars, Super Bowl. Boom. Easiest path to a Super Bowl. Look how easy I made it. Look how stress-free that was.
Yeah. I mean, look. Again. We've seen this happen in 2019. The Minnesota Vikings went in and they beat the New Orleans Saints in New Orleans. And that was kind of a matchup the 49ers fans were, I guess, anticipating because they wanted to do it again because the first matchup in 2019 was so good. But still, you have to feel like, okay, that's a game that we really don't want part. Like you have to face this offense and Drew Brees.
Yeah.
And then you find out that Kirk Cousins knocks them off and he's coming to town next week. And you're like, shit, here we go. We're rolling. So, yeah, if you want to go down that route, I completely understand. Yeah. Like, come on, man. When the Vikings came in 2019 in the divisional round, nobody believed that they even had one chance at winning that game, and it felt like, all right, we're rolling. We're going to the NFC Championship game, and it only took a quarter and a half of that NFC Championship game for 49er fans to start booking from Miami because that game was over with. So, if we're talking about that, then I hear you, man. Like, let's get the easiest thing.
No, but I definitely think as fun as that path would be, I think the most realistic one is Niners, Eagles, and Philadelphia NFC Championship game. And I think that's the game that a lot of people want because I feel like that, as Jason said, there are definitely tiers to the NFC right now. The Niners and Eagles are in tier 1. I don't even know if there's a tier 2 team, and we'll just jump to tier 3. Yeah, no, I definitely I had that thought, Ryan, of the Niners Giants NFC Championship game, and like just holding our breath for Ray McCloud punt returns just because of the uniforms.
Dude, can I tell a funny story real quick about that season?
Absolutely.
So that season was the first time in a long time that the 49ers were good, guys, right?
Mhm.
And you remember that. Okay.
Yes,
So
I
the
do.
49ers and the Giants actually met that year at Candlestick. I don't know if you guys remember that game, but the 49ers wound up winning. You know, Eli Manning brought it all the way down at the end, and Justin Smith, I think, knocked down a pass to end the game, right? So I live where I live, and I'm in a bar in Hoboken, you know, my hometown, where I was, you know, I basically went to high school, was raised. And I'm in there as the only 49er fan amongst a sea of blue. And if you guys believe that I'm obnoxious on this podcast or on my YouTube channel, picture that times 100, because I am, one, excited that my team is good again, and two, fuck the New York Giants. So I'm literally in there yelling at Giants fans, pointing at them like after the Niners go up high, I'm like pointing at people at the table like, yo, waitress, check, they get these guys out of here. They want to go home. This game's over or whatever. And then the game starts to change, starts to swing a little bit more. And you know, I'm still confident, but I'm getting it more and more from the people. So the end of the game happens. They knock the pass down. I jump up, and I'm the only one screaming in this bar. And like this woman threatened me and was like, "You want to go outside and fight?" I was like, "Man, I'm not fighting you." Like, so this is different. New York Giants and 49ers, that shit is different for me.
Yeah.
I despise the Giants, and you have to think about that year, right? That was the year that the 49ers all of a sudden were good. Okay, so fast forward to the NFC Championship game. I'm talking big shit. Bring the Giants on. Y'all don't want smoke. Da, 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 da. You know, Vernon Davis catches that long pass. They score a touchdown. This is the days that I was on Facebook like a boomer back in the day. I think I was on Facebook like the next year. And I'm going crazy on Facebook. Kiss my ass, all you Giants fans. And then the fumble, then the other fumble, and then I had to like eat all of those words and go on Facebook and say congratulations to the Giants. And I was just like something I'll never forget. That I remember that I turned the TV off and I stared at a black screen for 20 minutes and didn't move. I couldn't move. I couldn't believe that was how the 49ers lost that game, especially when there was that fumble that was called back on Amar Bradshaw. That was like obviously clearly a fumble.
No, it was Brandon Jacobs. They called forward progress.
I thought it was Amar Bradshaw.
I'm pretty confident it was Brandon Jacobs. It doesn't matter. It was still, they called forward progress.
But I just remember sitting in my room looking at a black screen, like pain. And I really, really debated not watching the Super Bowl at all because I was so sick of football. But yeah, that's my story.
Dude, I was about ready to mention that play because that's the play that sticks in my mind is the forward progress play. And I'm gonna try and find out if it was Bradshaw. Oh, it was Bradshaw. You're right. You're I shouldn't have doubted you because I instantly looked back to the end of that Niners Giants game in week 10 of that season. And I'm like, okay, Jason, let's see how good your memory is. Niners up 27-7 with 37 seconds left. Ball at the Niners 10-yard line, a 4th and 2. Final play of the game from scrimmage for the Giants. Eli Manning passing complete short middle, intended for Jake Ballard, defended by Justin Smith. And just for you to be able to recall, Justin Smith made the bat down in a Week 10 game 15 years ago. So I shouldn't have argued with you that it was Ahmad Bradshaw, not Brandon Jacobs. So I apologize about that. Ron, thank you for the donation. Funny how much hate there was to go around when Kyle was off to a rough start this season. Then the thirst trade for CMC, number 6 is on the way. Crickets. And we saw it last year, man, is this team started 3-5. A lot of people were questioning him. Cliff Kingsbury was like 9-1, and people were like, well, Cliff Kingsbury's looking pretty good. The Niners do what they did. And that's like, I think that's what's more impressive is the Niners, they started 3-4, a game better than last season, 10 in a row. And if the Niners win the Super Bowl, we're talking about a 14-game winning streak. I can't imagine that's something that's happened much in NFL history, considering the seasons used to be 16. Now they're 17 games. It's in the realm of possibilities. And God, I don't know how to stress this. I don't know how to say this without coming off as a victim of the moment. But I've witnessed, 3 Jim Harbaugh teams make the NFC Championship game. I've witnessed Shanahan make an NFC championship. I've witnessed Shanahan make a Super Bowl. I think this is the team I'm most confident in. Just because of the defense. Just because of the defense alone. This defense just feels different. And there was some great defenses in the Harbaugh years. The last year's defense was great. 2019's defense was great. This defense is on another level. And I think Brock Purdy, what he does, I get it. He's a rookie quarterback. Rookie quarterbacks don't do great in the playoffs. 9-18 in the last 40 years, blah, blah, blah. But Brock Purdy is like the perfect middle ground to what the Niners expected to be with Trey Lance and what the Niners expected to be with Jimmy Garoppolo. I've seen nothing from this kid that makes me believe that he can't do it. So this is the most confident I've been in a Niners team going into the playoffs maybe in my life.
I would agree. And conversely, I'm going to say it's because of the offense. I mean, when you look at all of these playmakers and everything that's there, this has always been a quarterback-friendly system. Now You're talking about having not just, hey, this is a solid player at this position. No, you got all pros and offensive weapons and stars at every single position. I mean, the game is super easy for Brock Purdy. He literally said so much in the press conference in terms of, at times in Iowa State, I felt like I had to do something. I had to make something happen. He goes, it's just executing now at this point. So, yeah, man, I'm more confident because this offense and this team has shown you that they can win in multiple ways. You want to do a defensive struggle? Cool. We can win those games. You want to do a shootout? Cool. We'll do those things. You want our defense to hold you down and us score 30 points? Cool. We'll do that. So they found every single way to win games. I'm more confident in this team in the same way that you say that this is the most confident you are. I am, but it's from the offense. So, Brian, thank you for the donation, buddy. Why am I so nervous about Saturday, Jason? We own them on paper. We own them this year. Brian, I think it's because you're a rational football mind. You are a guy who understands the range of possibilities, things that can happen. You're also very humble. These are all good compliments, and these are all good things for you to be. But I think if you believe in this team, if we all believe that this team is about to make a deep playoff run and they lose in the wild card round to Seattle, then obviously they never were that team, right? I don't believe that that's going to expose itself this weekend. I believe that they are that and more. So I'm going to stick with the coaching, with this team, what they've shown me. There's too much of a resume this year for me to be nervous now. Seattle's lucky to be here. Seattle's had a phenomenal year. Great for them. Geno Smith broke the passing record for the Seattle Seahawks. Get worked, Russell Wilson. So, yeah, I mean, it's cool to see them there. But at the same time, if you know what you know about this team, if you're confident in them, then you should still be confident in them going into Saturday's game. And I think the NFL is kind of telling you, we're putting you in the Saturday 4:30 game because we don't suspect that this game is going to be really close, so we don't suspect that they're going to be able to do anything.
I'm very curious how many NFL playoff games in NFL history have opened with a double-digit point spread. I believe the Niners are -10 right now.
Yeah.
But to his point, Brian's point about why he's nervous about Saturday, our friend Jordan Elliott posted a photo yesterday of a certain play that happened.
I don't remember that play,
and we don't need to talk about it.
I never watched
but
that.
I think the nervousness just strictly comes from the uniform matchup. Is we've been trained to see, the Seahawks uniforms are on one side, the Niners uniforms are on another. That's not a good sign for the Niners. But let me tell you this. Let me make a comparison because I've seen this go around, and I'm already tired of this narrative, and I'm so excited for Saturday so I don't have to hear this again, of this idea of how hard it is to go 3-0 against a divisional opponent. The Niners are 2-0. Obviously, they finished 6-0 in the NFC West last year. Last year, Jason Aponte, the Niners finished 2-0 against the Rams, and they had a chance to go 3-0 against the Rams in the playoffs, and that didn't happen. And I know it's very fresh on people's mind, and let me tell you the very big difference between that situation and this one. Mm-hmm. The Los Angeles Rams in 2021 were a very good fucking football team. Niner fans did not give them the credit. And I'm not blaming Niner fans for that because that's what rivalries are.
There you go.
The Seahawks are not that. Man, maybe 99 out of 100 times the Niners beat the Seahawks. And there's a full possibility that one is on Saturday. Fully possible. I get it. I don't think that's going to happen. This Niners team is too good to let that happen. I know the game was closer in Seattle, but you got to remember, hey, Seattle home field, that's a pretty big deal.
The score was close, but it didn't feel like those teams were close.
And that too as well. Yes, if you just look at the score, it looks close. It's I just don't see it happening. I don't think people should be worried, but I'm not going to blame people for being worried because we have literally been conditioned for the last 10 years of when the Seahawks come to town, the Niners are losing. I don't think that's the case anymore. I think the Niners are way too good for the Seahawks team to lose on Saturday.
100%. Andrew Pasquini nailing the real point. The Los Angeles Rams were far closer to the 49ers than this Seattle Seahawks team is to the 49ers. So if you want to do that whole, like, can you beat them 3 times? That was harder to do against the Rams because they stacked up so well. This Seahawks team does not. And that's where my confidence is going to lie. Andrew absolutely nails that one. And it is true. 49er fans just got accustomed to saying, well, we own the Rams. Who cares? Yeah. And you know what? Even that game was very close, and it came down to the wire. So, yeah. And Tommy says, priority number 1, Saturday. Ball security and cause turnovers, I think 100%. That should be the priority almost every single game.
Yeah, that's.
But at this point, it's absolutely true. Like, I mean, again, you know, as I've been saying, when the 49ers play their game, they're sound defensively. They don't turn the ball over. They're converting their third downs, which they ended up being. You know, the 49ers had a better third down conversion rate this season than they did last year. Mr. Jimmy Garoppolo third down. Oh, okay, sorry, didn't mean to bring that up. But if they're converting third downs, they are playing sound defense. They're not shooting themselves in the foot with penalties. There's not a team in this league that can stop them. And I think I wholeheartedly believe that. So I thought that was kind of funny that I was looking at the numbers from last year because I wrote an article for NinersNation.com. It comes out tomorrow about last year's team and this year's team. And it's kind of funny, the parallels. I already told you about the passing yards being flipped and the interception rate being flipped. But it's funny how Jimmy Garoppolo is known as like this third down king. And yet the 49ers have been markedly better on third down this season than they were last year.
Yeah. No, so I like as we said, man, we get it. I understand why people are a little nervous going into the Seahawks game, but I promise you there is nothing to worry about. I think this should be a pretty one-sided Niners game. And as Keith makes, the Seahawks team didn't add Odell Beckham and Von Miller. That's a very good point as well. They did not make that. So, Jason, I think that's it. I think that's where we're at. We will give you a more in-depth Seahawks-Niners preview on Friday. Obviously, that's what we do. But we're back. We're back, Jason Aponte.
Andrew Pasquini. Games. Back-to-back years covering a playoff team.
We love it. We love it.
They didn't believe in us. Kyle
wanted Cliff Kingsbury.
You wanted Cliff Kingsbury. You lusted over the way the Rams just traded all their picks for other guys. You loved what you saw from Matt LaFleur. Undefeated in December, 13 straight wins. Mike McDaniel had a nice little stretch earlier on in the year. Robert Saleh was this close to making the playoffs. You know, demote Kyle, make him the offensive coordinator. Make DeMeco Ryans the head coach. All of that bullshit.
People said that. I forgot people said that.
All of that bullshit. Get it out of here.
Yeah.
Get it out of here.
Yeah.
Put some respect on my coach's name. Coach of the year. Top 2 and 8-2.
I love it. I love it, Jason. So let's see. Version 3, Niners Seahawks in 2022. Hopefully it goes better than TCU's handling Georgia right now. It is 38-7 going into halftime. College football is not real anyway.
College football.
Georgia couldn't get in, or Michigan couldn't get into this game, but whatever. It doesn't matter, man.
I want Harbaugh. Yeah.
I want Harbaugh.
If you want to win in the game before the game, for sure, bring Harbaugh.
This is why you shouldn't allow Big 12 teams in the national championship game.
Oh, damn. That's messed
up. That's all I had, Jason. I don't know. You have anything? I cannot stress how little I cared about the Niners game yesterday.
It was pretty lackluster. That's the
best
way to put it. I mean, even the post-game show yesterday, you know, usually it's us like slapping hands virtually, and it was just like, yeah, you know, the Niners just won. It just felt like a formality.
I had to do winners and losers because that's my article I do, and I just I don't care. Like I just don't like. I love writing and I love these winner and loser things, but like I did not care about that game. Keith, thank you for the donation. Last thing we'll take before we get out of here. One thing I didn't realize is Debo's older than CM. Oh my God, is he?
Yes.
I don't believe that. I'm gonna Google it.
McCaffrey came out when he was 21, I believe, from Stanford.
Debo
look it up.
Is 26. Okay.
Yeah, he came out late. Debo.
Christian McCaffrey. I think McCaffrey's 26 too, but by dates, yes, he is younger.
Yes, he is.
Oh wait, January. I'm not good at the January 15th, 1996 for Debo. June 7th, 19. So yeah, McCaffrey's younger. Wow.
Yeah.
By like 6 months. Shout out. We love that. Keith, thank you for the good knowledge. I didn't know that, so I'm learning. Not that I doubted you. I just like to confirm things.
Dropping dimes.
We love it. We love it. I don't know. That's all I got, Jason. We're going to talk Niners Seahawks on Friday. I think that's the one everybody's ready for because it's the playoffs. Games matter again. It's kind of fun. They went from not really mattering to mattering. Very important games coming up here. Dare I say, Jason, question to really just think about going into Saturday. And it's something we did earlier in the season as a joke. Don't answer me now. This will be the question we answer on Saturday or on Friday. Is the Niners over the Seahawks a must-win game? Jason Aponte, as always.
I think Georgia's quarterback is older than Tom Brady also, by the way. But yeah, as always, let's go Niners. And what a fun season, Andrew and 49ers fans. It's not over. We're not done.
Not over.
I think.
Not over. Four more games. Four more games.
We ain't done yet.
4 more games. Sprint Right Option Podcast. We love you guys.
Welcome, everybody.
We are live.
My name is Jason Aponte.
I am Andrew Pasquini.
We're working. That's it. We're working over here. That's it. Let's go Niners.
Let's go Niners.